Good morning, Year 5. Before we start our maths today, let's have a look at our flashback 4. So if you pause the video, have a go at these 4 questions and then we will go through the answers. Okay, so question 1 said add 0.63 to 0.74. So you could have used column method to do this, and you can see that this is adding across 1. So remember, you did that last week, so you were adding across 1. So you could have had 0.63 add 0.74, 0.74 like that. And then you could have worked your answer out. So you've got 3 add 4 is 7. 6 add 7 is 13. So you've got your 3 in your 10ths column, and you needed to carry the 1. Then you've got 0, add 0, add 1. So your answer would be 1, and you need your decimal place in there, making sure it lines up with the others. So you've got 1.37. Okay, and then you're going to subtract 0.35 from 0.78. And they've tried to be a little bit tricky here with this question because they've put the numbers in the wrong order. So you actually need to do 0.78 subtract 0.35. Remember, the smallest number goes on the bottom, and that will help you with your maths today. So 8 subtract 5 is 3. 7 subtract 3 is 4. And you've got 0 subtract 0 is 0, and you need your decimal place. So you should have 0.43. And then you're going to round 0.81 to the nearest whole number. So if this is my whole number, I need to look to my tenths to find the nearest whole number. So if it were to be on a number line, we would know that 0 would be here, 1 would be here, if we had 5 in the middle. 0.81 would come somewhere here. We can see that it is closer to 1 than it is 0, so the whole number would be 1. Okay, and then finally it says how many girls are there all together. So you've got boys and girls, and you've got boys age 9, girls age 9, boys age 10, girls age 10. So it wants to know how many girls altogether. So we need to add 74 and 81. So remember, all together is telling us we need to add. They want to know the total amount. So I need to do 74, add 81. Ooh. So I've got 1 add 4 add 1 is 5. 7 add 8 is 15. So I take my 5, I carry my 1. I've got 0, 0, so I've got just 1 to go there. So I've got 155. Okay. Today we are going to subtract numbers with the same amount of decimal places. So again, you're doing the inverse of yesterday. So each number will have the same amount of decimal places. So let's take a look. So the first thing we are looking at is using our place value grid and our column method. So as you can see, the hundredths are lined up, the tenths are lined up, the decimal places are lined up, the ones and the tens have been lined up. So this is important to remember that they have to be lined up, especially your decimal places being lined up. That will help you to remember where to put them, because when we come to do it when they haven't got the same amount of decimals, remembering the decimal points need to be lined up will help you. Okay, so we are going to start off with our biggest number in our place value grid. So we have got 1/100th, 5/10ths, 3 ones, and 2 10s. Okay, and the first thing we need to do is we need to look at our hundredths, and it wants us to take off 6 from our hundredths, but obviously we can't do 1 subtract 6 without going into negative numbers, and for column we don't go into negative numbers. So what we need to do is we need to exchange. We need to take one of our tenths and make it into hundredths. So remember, 1/10th equals 10 hundredths. So I need to remove one of my tenths, and I'm going to add 10 to my hundredths. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've taken my tenth out and I've put my 10 extra hundredths in. So how would this look on here? So we would cross out our 5. We would put 4. 4 would replace the 5 because we've taken one of them away, and we would add a 10 to this number, so we've technically got 11 now. Okay, we've got 11 hundredths. So now I can subtract my 6. So I have got, if I subtract 6, I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, went past, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, super. So how many have I got left now? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 5 hundredths. And I will have the same up here. 11 subtract 6 is 5. Okay, then I've got my tenths. So it's nice and easy this time. I've got 4 tenths subtract 3 tenths. So 4 subtract 3 we know is 1, but we will just do it this way anyway, just so we can see. So I've taken 3, I've got 1 left, and I've got 1 up here. Then I've got 3 subtract 1 in my ones column. So I've got 1, and I've got how many left? I've got 2. I've got 2 here, and 3 subtract 1 is 2 up here, same again. Then I've got 2 subtract 2, so I can cross both of those out. So I know that I have got 0, and up here I have got 0. So how would we write that? 2.15. I don't need this placeholder here. Okay. So next question. How much more does the bag of apples cost than the bunch of bananas? This is a bit of a tricky question because usually when we see more, we think about adding something and making a number bigger. However, it wants to know the difference between the two prices. So it wants to know how much more expensive are the apples than the bananas. So you can see that here. So they've used a bar. So you can see the apples are £1.63 and the bananas are £1.18. It wants to know what the difference is between the two. So what I need to do is I need to subtract to find the difference. Okay, so what I will do is I'm going to start with the biggest number. Remember, in subtraction, the biggest number has to be on top of the column method. So I've got 1.63, and I'm going to subtract 1.18. I need my subtraction sign. We got it there. So I have got, let me make this a bit bigger. So I have got 3 subtract 8, but we know we can't do that, so thinking what we just did, I'm going to cross that out. So I've got a 5 here now instead, and I've got 13 here now instead. So I've carried the 1 over. So I've got 13 subtract 8, which gives me 5. Okay, and I've got 5 subtract 1, which gives me 4. And I've got 1 subtract 1, which is 0, and I need to remember my decimal place. So the difference between the apples and the bananas is 45 pence. So remember, in money, the numbers that come after the decimal point are pence. Okay? And then finally, what is the difference between A and B? So this is a bit tricky because usually we think, oh, A comes first. But if you have a look at the numbers, you can actually see that B is the bigger number. So you have to do 470.13 subtract 437.97. Like that. So this one's a bit trickier because there's lots of exchanging. So we have got 3 subtract 7, which we know we can't do. So we're going to cross our 1 out. And that would make that a 0 for now. And we would carry our 1. Oh. So I've got 13 subtract 7 this time, which would leave me with 6. And then now I've been left with a 0 here, but I can't do 0 subtract 9. So I need to exchange from the next one. But look, this is a 0 as well, so I cannot borrow from here. I need to keep going to my tens column. So look carefully at what I have to do. I cross my 7 out. I make it into a 6. And then I make this 0 into a 10. Okay, the 1 0. Then I have to cross that out and I make that into a 9, so that I can borrow all the way over here. I have exchanged from the tens all the way to my tenths column. So now I've got 10 subtract 9, which leaves me with 1. Then I've got 9 subtract 7, which leaves me with 2. Then I've got 6 subtract 3, which gives me 3. Then I've got 4 subtract 4, which gives me 0. And remembering to put in my decimal place lined up with my others. So my answer is 32.16. So that is the difference between the two. Okay, today, so lesson 2. So you're on summer term week 2, lesson 2, subtracting decimals with the same number of decimal places. You are doing questions 1 to 4 if you are silver. If you are gold, you're doing questions 6 to 9. And platinum, you can see the next page. The answers are there as well, so you can mark also. If you've got any questions, please contact Mrs. Willis and I, and we will get back to you as soon as we can.